Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 383 of the Massenomics podcast, broadcasted from sunny, beautiful, the Sunshine State, South Dakota. I'm one of the hosts. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Yeah, together we make up the Massenomics podcast, Captain Planet.
Go.
Yeah.
Go, team, go.
Got a lot to talk about this week. We've got special return guest, Big Chris Duffin's coming back. Some follow-up on Aftermath after the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic. We've got an exciting can to get to and sample. We're going to support some supporting members, and then, just a few general silly goose topics, of course. Before we talk about any of that, I've got very exciting news. This is hot off the press. I want to see if I have a button for this. I don't know if I'm just going to press a random button and see if this makes sense for what's going on here.
Who the fuck said that?
Oh, no, that was not appropriate.
Close.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Maybe closer.
That was Robin Williams screaming, "Good morning, Vietnam. I'll take it." So this is exciting news. This is new news. I got something to tell everyone about. Are you sick and tired of supplements that just don't work? You take them, you wait a few minutes or maybe an hour or two and feel absolutely nothing. Most supplements are underdosed, contain fillers, cost-cutting compounds, and proprietary blends, which all confuse an inconvenient truth. They just don't work. Well, maybe it's not your fault you keep bombing your PR attempts, you have low energy in the gym and can't gain lean muscle. Maybe your supplements simply suck. Well, you're all in luck. Our fellow South Dakotans at Build Fast Formula are making high-quality product formulas that contain clinically dosed, research-backed compounds with no unnecessary fillers, so you can build towards your goals faster and finally feel a difference in the gym.
Tell me more, Tanner. Keep going. I want to know more.
That's not all.
Stop.
I've not gotten to the best stuff. Here it is. Massenomics listeners can snag their first formula, their first order at BFF for 10% off. That's buildfastformula.com, and you can do that by using discount code Massenomics at checkout. And if you want to save even more...
What?
Yeah, even more. Upgrade your order to a subscription to save an additional 10% on your purchase. So yeah, you heard it right. If you use discount code Massenomics, you get 10% off for your one-time purchase. Double that to 20% off if you get a subscription order at buildfastformula.com. And we're going to put that link in the show notes starting right here in episode 383. Can you believe that news, Tommy?
That's maybe the best thing I've heard all day. And I've heard some pretty damn good things today so far.
We just shocked the world. Build Fast Formula, who we saw at the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, they are on board. They are officially a sponsor of the Massenomics podcast. Discount code Massenomics.
Amazing. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right. This episode is also brought to you by... We're going to keep this theme going.
Excitement going. Okay.
Barefoot Shoes. Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Barefoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Barefoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, key word there, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.shoes to check out the best minimalist shoes available. And while you're there, make sure to use code Massenomics to save 10% on your next order. And if you've been listening to this podcast long or even not long, you probably know that Tanner and I are fans of Barefoot shoes. We wear them in the gym all the time. Well, I would just say, stay tuned. We got a little announcement regarding Barefoot shoes coming later this episode.
And by little, it's freaking huge, baby.
It's massive.
We do have exciting announcement there. We can't wait to get to. Luckily, we've got just the guy on to help us cover all this new exciting stuff, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of weather news, which we haven't covered specifically for a while. It's just kind of been hot as balls. I don't know about southern South Dakota, but it's
been
sweaty balls
so
out.
hot and humid too.
Yeah, last night was brutally humid.
Mm-hmm. Like you can't hardly go outside. It almost hurts to be out there. You know?
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not an enjoyable experience. You got to take it in small doses, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's always more fun playing with the kids outside, and it's a little trickier when it's just like everyone's a little more miserable when it's that sweaty.
Then you don't feel like nature's trying to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that segues actually really well into something I've got to bring up on this episode, and even more perfect timing. When we started this episode, I called South Dakota the Sunshine State. South Dakota did used to be called the Sunshine State, first of all.
It was until
people don't know that.
Yeah, it was. I think them and Florida both had it for a long time, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of funny that South Dakota is the Sunshine State. Like maybe not the.
It's wrong.
First.
It's a wrong choice. I'm gonna be honest, Larry.
Not
that
the
does
first.
Not make
probably
sense.
not even the first 100 options I'd pick in the brainstorming session.
Or even if I was just to pick a state that's the Sunshine State, it wouldn't be in the first 25. I don't think that I would. Be like, have you been here like 6 months out of the year? Literally, the sun goes down at, like, quite honestly, the sun goes down by 5 p.m. It doesn't even make sense.
And doesn't even come up until like 8-ish, somewhere in there.
We have very little sun.
Yeah, there's stretches where you're getting
sometimes.
like 8 hours of sun a day.
Let alone it being cold. You normally associate the sun with warmth and that sort of thing. I know it's not exclusively, that's not the connection, but it kind of, there's tie in there. But anyways.
And in case you're wondering, in 1983, the South Dakota legislature formally changed it to the Mount Rushmore State.
Okay. Good choice. Makes much more sense.
More
I think
logical.
everyone within and outside the borders of South Dakota would agree much more with that.
We're all for
choice,
things being logical. If things don't make perfect logical sense, we are not on board with it.
We are.
There's no
we're
room for
fundamentally
messing
we stick
around
to
over
logic
here.
choices. Yes,
Real sticklers for the rules.
Yeah. But Big Ryan from Iowa called us the mosquito state, which is funny. That's a topic I have in our discussion here that I wanted to bring up. So, first of all, there's a few things. The first thing I'm going to mention is, do you remember the conversation we had with Big Dylan from Texas about mosquitoes? Were you in on that? I think you were.
I was, and I can't remember if I told you. I have follow-up on that conversation even. I can't remember if I told you that or not.
Okay. No, you don't. So we have a lot of mosquito topic stuff here then to cover.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go to one part of this. Actually, I have so many like side tangents on this particular thing. I don't know where to start, but I'll start by saying, here's what really struck it off to me on the Unpaid and Underrated podcast this week. They also recapped the meet. They had like 5 of them on there that were all there. Great episode. Go check it out. Give it a listen. But a couple of them were mentioning how bad the mosquitoes were at the Friday night party in my backyard.
Oh
and
my God.
what was your take on the mosquitoes at my party?
So I am now, since I've moved, I'm a man of culture. I understand all types of different levels of mosquitoes. By Aberdeen standards, by Western Northeast South Dakota standards, that was a perfect night. It does not get better mosquito-wise than that. Like that's as good as it gets.
I cannot, like, this is me being my honest take. I'm like, I couldn't even notice a mosquito at that event. And I'm not being critical of them. I'm using this to highlight the difference of perception here,
100%.
because I'm not saying, oh no, you're wrong. I'm highlighting the different way you might perceive something based on what you're used to. So the city's been spraying, and we also sprayed that party was Friday.
When you say sprayed, you actually sprayed the lawn. Like you didn't.
We hired someone to come spray.
You didn't take a can of mosquito spray out and.
No, we hired people to come spray the yard prior to the party, and
which
we've
is
also
a thing
had
people do. Like that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
If people are having an outdoor gathering, a lot of times they will get it sprayed to make things more tolerable.
Yeah, and so I almost would say there wasn't a mosquito back there, but their perception was that they were really bad, and that's when I'm like, oh man, like you haven't experienced bad mosquitoes, and then this ties back into we're at Friday night talking to Dylan from Texas, Big Dylan Coates. He was second guessing whether we really had mosquitoes here because he said his, I would say southeastern Texas mosquitoes are bad. And I would contend when it comes to mosquitoes, we have to be up there close to the title holders. And the reason I come to this conclusion is A, they're just horrendous around here, first of all. But B, I, through my Army days, I got to spend like 2 weeks to 9 months in the woods in a lot of different states. So I was in Wyoming for a few weeks. And I'm not talking about all just like very much the most secluded areas of the state almost.
Yes.
Like where people don't go. where the bugs would be. I've been to Wyoming for a week. So I've spent a few weeks in Nebraska. I've been Arkansas for a couple of weeks.
I believe you've said Minnesota you've had some interesting times up there.
I've been a couple different places in Texas that I spent for quite a while. And the only place that can hold a candle to our in terms of mosquitoes, in my experiences, is northern Minnesota. Northern Minnesota mosquitoes, like for the people that thought the mosquitoes in Aberdeen were kind of bad in my backyard, they would literally run away and die if they like experienced what the mosquitoes were like. And I'm talking like, where's that? Like people go and like, it's kind of like the wooded northern Minnesota. I don't know what that's called.
Did you say?
Yeah, I've been up there.
Or like Lake of the Woods?
Yeah, in those areas. And they are awful. I mean, my one experience with that, I've probably talked about it before, but I slept, it's called a HEMMT. It's look up what the acronym for HEMMT is.
Are you just saying hammock wrong, or is...
No, it's HEMMT is the military vehicle. It's a big 6-wheeled truck with big tall wheels on it. It's like a 6x6 truck.
Okay, yep, I got it here. Yeah, you see these going down the road.
Heavy,
every once in a while.
it's heavy something.
Yeah, heavy expanded mobility tactical truck.
Right. Okay, so we spent we were there for a couple weeks, but we spent at least like a week at a time where you just sleep on or in this thing in the woods in northern Minnesota. And there's no way to sleep in it. You have to sit completely vertical. I've said it before. I think the seats actually... The seats aren't vertical. They actually pitch you forward.
Cute angle.
A cute angle on the seats. So you try to sleep outside, and you can set up your like a sleeping bag or your little cot like in the back of the HEMMT or on top of the truck. And it's hot. It's the middle of July, but a few nights I specifically remember zipping the sleeping bag all the way over my face and still not being able to sleep out there because even just I was sweating because it's so hot, but I also was getting to the point where I was just closing my eyes and just spraying bug spray on my face. It was actually causing me to go partially insane. I feel what's it's torture,
some water torture.
Torture.
Yeah. Where they're
like a very long-term form of it's like that form of torture where you can't get the mosquitoes even out of your ears. You just they're always buzzing in your ears, even if you're not sure if they are. So the mosquitoes are really bad there, but they're almost as bad in Aberdeen at times. Aberdeen is built on a swamp. So there's a lot of standing water around, and I don't know if that's the main reason why they're so bad here, or it's just particular region, or what all the reasons are, but they're very bad.
Yes. Okay, so you're 100% right. Since we've moved to the southeast corner of the state, I routinely bring up to my wife how we're outside, and I go, "Isn't it great? There's no mosquitoes." Just because I'm always conscious of it, and her comments are always, "I never think of that until you bring it up, and you're 100% right." You go eat out on a patio somewhere, there's no mosquitoes. You don't worry about it.
Right.
You're out with the kids, you don't worry about it. And I was in town a few weeks ago, working on a project for a client, and it involved me just walking through some people's lawns, just walking through their lawns.
Yeah, like a well-mowed.
These are very nice houses, nice neighborhoods, well-manicured lawns. I think I went to 6 different places. I got more mosquito bites walking through those 6. I mean, I was probably outside a total of an hour. I got more mosquito bites in that 1 hour than I had in the collective summer before that. It was bad. And to follow up on your thing with Dylan, I know we were telling him that, oh no, the mosquitoes are pretty bad. I was saying, okay, we drove a vehicle into Aberdeen. This is, especially when I was younger, I did a lot of times. You'd be gone for a weekend somewhere. You'd be driving in Sunday night. It was not unusual to not make it to Aberdeen. You'd have to pull over to a gas station to actually scrub the bugs off so you could see through your windshield. I mean, sometimes you could even need to scrub your headlights off because they're so thick that the actual power of your headlights has been reduced. So this 100% happened to us. When we came back for the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic, we got there late. Visibility was getting very bad towards the end because people that don't understand bad mosquitoes, it's like someone pouring grease on your windshield. Your wipers can't do it.
Also don't wipe off.
They don't wipe off. They're too greasy. It's such a thick film.
To your point, what I see and remember is people's license plates. You can't actually read their license plate after a while. It's just a solid gray block.
So your license plate just goes black because there's so many mosquitoes on it. And so when it was one of the times I was coming through town, I drove by the gym the weekend of the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic. People were opening the door. We have a Tahoe. I was in the Tahoe. The guys were all coming out. Dylan saw the front of the vehicle. He goes, "Yeah, you weren't lying. Those are pretty bad." And that was after I had cleaned most of them off. I'd cleaned the windshield off and the headlights off that morning because even in the daylight, it was hard to see. There were so many on there.
Yeah, that's funny. And back to my original point of the whole thing. For those guys that thought they were kind of bad in my backyard, like I'll bring back to again. I would have said there wasn't even a mosquito there. Like there were so few, I almost couldn't even notice. They
didn't even register in my brain as being a thing. I didn't notice.
Right.
Them. Yeah.
Right. No, because when they're bad, if they would have been actually bad, you couldn't even have it.
No, you couldn't
have it. Like
I remember times being on a walking path, where I used to live, there's walking paths next to a road and a little bit of grass, like very little grass around you, just basically cement everywhere. And there could even be a slight breeze in the air. I'd be walking my dog and I remember being like, there's so many mosquitoes. I have to cut my walk short because it's too unpleasant to walk because you're constantly swatting bugs, getting bit, all that. So yeah, mosquitoes in Aberdeen, nothing to mess around with.
No. So that's our mosquito segment.
Glad we covered that.
Yeah. What about a can segment? Do you think we could follow up mosquitoes with a can? Or
let's do it. This is
a what's in the can.
And who is this brought to us by?
This is Big Joey and Big Steve.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Our Canadian neighbors to the south.
Canadian branding was a dead giveaway, right?
Yeah.
So this would be the President's Choice sparkling water, orange cream soda. And unlike root beer or other cream soda things, they actually do have the proper color on this. The orange cream soda is, in fact, orange.
Yeah. Props on that of not making it pink. Let's give it a crack. Let's crack into this thing.
Well, it smells orange right off the bat, I can tell you that.
That was crispy.
Now
that's pretty good.
That's a sparkling water right there.
Yep. Some nodes hitting me in the aftertaste.
Something about orange cream soda really lends itself well to the sparkling water flavor profile.
I agree. I knew this was going to be good before we even opened it, just based on our vast experience of trying various sparkling waters on this show.
This is a 4 for me all day. On the right day, I might even say 4.5. I'm very tempted to go 4.5, but that's pretty high territory there.
That's bold. I know. I'm kind of in that wishy-washy on those two, even myself too. I'm going to say 4 because I really reserve a 4.5. But I'll say 4.
You know how the scale works. Only the absolute best of the best of the best get over a 4, and only the absolute worst of the worst of the worst get under a 3.5. It's a very tight pattern. You could almost argue we could just change it to a 3-point scale, and we would serve ourselves just as well. But
yes, everything gets rated between a 2.5 and a 4.5.
Yeah,
really,
it really just everything's a 1.
We've never rated anything a 5.
No, everything's a 1 unless it's good, like pretty good. Then it's a 2. I don't know if we've ever given anything a 3, and there's been only a few times where something's gotten a 0.
Right. Pretty good though.
Very good. Tanner, I have to like verbalize something that I don't know if I've ever felt more excited for the number of things Massenomics has going on right now than right now. Like
we've got a lot.
I mean,
big things.
We got those irons in the fire, man. We got big things coming. It's like I look at our plans for the next 6 months, and I honestly can't even visualize us on the other side of that. It's wild. Everything that's
we do
in the
have
pipeline.
a lot of irons in the fire. It's hard to keep everything. To keep all the balls in the air at the same point in time.
I mentally have hardly even moved on from the meat, and all of a sudden. We have developing situations of exciting things happening in the next few months. And then as you get the end of the year, that's always an exciting time with Black Friday in November and Christmas season. I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on for Massenomics that has got me fired up right now.
There is a lot. I don't even know how much we talk about this yet, but we do have a big Massenomics trip coming up. That's not the Arnold, not the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic.
This is a straight up content trip.
And
the last
I
time,
guess part of the cat's
yeah,
out of the bag. Dave Tate himself even confirmed that we will be on Table Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be in Ohio, but that's not even the only state on this trip and the only bit of content we're making. We're doing at least a couple other things in there that are going to also be pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure. One other stop, depending on how the schedule works
That's just
out,
developed as of today.
Yeah,
We got confirmation today. That I'm for as excited as I am for us to do Table Talk, I am equally as excited for us to do this other thing we're going to do on the trip.
I know.
It's just as big of a deal.
It's really overwhelming. I'm saying it right now. It's going to be really hard to sleep for like the 3 days in a row that week, just because there's like, like that's what my brain's going to be doing nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
But man, we got some really, really exciting stuff coming up, and it's just hard to put it into words. All these things we got going on. Just from a content perspective, it is crazy. This year we have made more of an effort for content, YouTube specifically. And man, there is some things happening that I am just fired up for.
And speaking of YouTube, make sure to check out the video that it comes out today as we're recording. So if anyone's listening to this after it comes out live on wherever you listen to podcasts, it is out there. It's our recap video from the meet and the after party at the zoo. And boy, I watched it for the first time today. Boy, did that look fun.
I you always lose the magic of a little bit when you edit these videos. But I told you yesterday when I was editing it, that was the first time I'd watched back any of the footage. So it's been a couple weeks. I was like, oh man, I forgot that even happened during the day. Honestly, I recorded this and I don't even remember that happening. So going back, having that trip down memory lane, and then of course the zoo, it's when things get crazy, and it's just so fun to see everyone having the best time, everyone to be in such a good mood, just reliving that thing. I mean, you said it yourself. How could you watch that and be like, nah, I don't want to be a part of that. It's just so fun.
It would not be possible. So do make sure to check that out and subscribe to the YouTube channel for sure. Like, you don't want to miss that. I don't think. It was a blast. Did you see that guy? I mean, I know you saw this, but the shirt that guy was walking around in Aberdeen.
Okay. Do you know the story on it or not? Is there a story?
Well, I just of Big Anthony found the guy.
Okay.
Just walking down the street, and he said his sister gave it to him.
Interesting. So when I first saw this picture, so to fill people in on what's going on here, Tanner put in, right? Did you put it in the Discord?
Yes, I put it in there.
There was a picture of a guy walking a dog down the street, and he had a black Massenomics shirt on, and it was the Massenomics OG logo, the big circle M, and then underneath it says Massenomics. He had this black shirt, and that logo was screen printed on the shirt like 10 different times. A couple on the front, several on the side, multiple down the back, like all over. And at first when I saw that, I didn't realize it was in Aberdeen. So I was almost creeped out, like, how is this even happening? This makes no sense. And then when I saw it was in Aberdeen, I'm like, okay, it makes a little more sense, still not a ton. But if I had to guess, because I was thinking, why on earth and how on earth could this have happened? This would be my guess, is that at one point, many, many years ago, we did have a local printer in Aberdeen. My best guess is that when they were getting the screen print ready, a lot of times they'll just grab any piece of garment they can find and just hit it a few times to make sure things are going correctly. My guess is that they took a black t-shirt they had laying around, hit it with the logo in multiple spots to make sure it was how they wanted. Once the test prints were done, they said, okay, put the good t-shirts on. And that got thrown in a pile. And whoever worked at that company must have pulled that t-shirt out and decided to give it to this guy. Right? That had to have been what happened, right?
I think so, because that red print, we did print like 15 of those shirts. It was like the second shirt we ever
that's
made.
From like what,
2015.
Damn, that's an old one.
Yeah, it's 8 years old that he's walking around with that thing. But it looked kind of cool, though, actually. And now that I see it, I'm like,
the
people might like
good.
that. Yeah, in 2023, people would want that shirt.
Just the all-over random logo that doesn't make any sense.
Yes. I'm like, that seems fashionable, actually. Yeah, so that was funny. If I see him, I'll offer him big money for that shirt, and we can keep it in our collection.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been walking around with that thing for almost a decade, and we've never seen it until now.
We got eyes out now, though. Eyes
Yeah.
all over town.
What do you think about a little supporting our supporting members segment?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so it's a relatively new segment of the podcast. What it is, we have a group of supporting members who choose to pay us a little bit each month to get in on the club, the crew, the unpaid interns. What they get to be in our exclusive online Discord community that's full of like-minded individuals. There's a discount code. They get to meet all these people. They end up having a silly goose time. Then they get early information on drops that we got coming. A lot of times they actually get even early access to our drops, so they get first dibs on things. They also get first dibs to things like when we do a powerlifting meet. They get to get in on that and get signed up before other people do. In addition to that, each week on the podcast, we choose to support a few of them that we know have, just cool stuff going on that we can talk about. So this week, the ones I wrote down, and I apologize, just like every week, I probably missed some, but these are what I noticed.
It's not an exhaustive list. It's
No, it's just the ones I can pick up on, and at the time, I'm thinking like, hey, I'll throw this in there. So Big Eddie was last week's guest on Unpaid and Underrated. I always like to shout out who's on our sister podcast, so check out Big Eddie from last week. And then this week they had Scance, Jake, Scance, Chris, and then the usual host, I think, is who's on there. So check them out. And then speaking of Scance, who competed at the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, the old man was back at it again already, competing in a Highland Games competition last weekend.
Nothing can slow this guy down.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes for him, huh?
Just a machine.
Big Nate, congrats to Big Nate on being a new father once again.
Mm-hmm.
A new birth in the family for Big Nate, so that's always exciting.
Lifting's about to get a lot more fun.
Yeah, that's how that works. That's what I'm telling myself. And then speaking of babies, Big Dr. Jake, it sounds like he delivered his first baby.
What?
Yeah, so...
Is that what he's even in school for?
I don't think that's the kind of doctor he is.
Who let him do that?
Yeah, and there was some confusion of, was it Nate's baby? I don't know. It could have been. It could have been crew on crew.
We weren't there. Who's to say it wasn't?
We don't know any more that it wasn't than we do that it, or we don't know any more that it was that it wasn't.
We'll have to have Jake send some photos and we can reconstruct the crime scene and figure out what happened.
I think there was somebody else that had a baby recently in the crew. I just couldn't remember who that was as I was writing these down.
Well, wasn't Kevin having one around now too?
I don't know if he did already or not.
Okay.
He might have. If he did, congrats. Oh, was it one of the Davids?
Oh,
it was one of the
maybe that was
Davids.
it. I can't
it was
keep
one of
it
the
straight.
Davids.
There's too many people
I don't
having
think Kevin
babies.
has yet. Yeah. No, it was one of the Davids I was thinking of, and then big brand. We might have missed that one a little while ago too. Also, so congrats to all the crew babies. The crew's really growing.
It is. You can do your part to grow this crew.
Yes. And then last but not least, Big Stewart, recent joiner of the crew, made his pilgrimage from West Virginia in his big touring van to Massenomics Gym. He came and met me there this week. He got the tour, and we chatted about all things Massenomics. Big Stewart is buddies with Big Travis from West Virginia. We meet Big Travis, comes to the Arnold every year, also a crew member, and he watches the Strongman, he and his wife, and we've seen him in a year. So actually, turns out we had met Stewart this year at the Arnold too. I didn't particularly remember that, but now I will.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to have his tour of the Massenomics Gym, so his free day pass, he took advantage.
Good. I always like to hear people redeeming those.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Our guest, thank you, crew.
Yeah.
Don't want to cut that
Yeah.
short. Our guest has arrived though, Tanner.
Well, should we do that, and we'll do ads later, more ads later?
Yeah,
after the guest?
let's get him in here. I got to get everyone kicked out though.
Give everyone the axe, or
Get him out.
give them the boot. Yeah, we like to support our supporting members, and then we like to kick him out of here. We say, scram, get lost.
Yep, build them up just to tear them back down.
That's what we do. It's a mental fortitude test that we put them through. There he is.
Hey,
Big
I'm
Chris.
eating though. Let's see, Mike. Sorry.
No, the gains can't stop for us.
haven't had a chance to eat yet today, so I have this. I don't know, just whatever I found in the kitchen.
What are you having?
Uh,
Okay,
A tortilla with what in it?
yeah, what's in there?
a Piedmontese hot dog
Oh,
with some pepperoncinis and marinated onions. My wife makes these marinated onions, but yeah, I didn't have any hot dog buns. Thought I had some sandwich meat. Come home, there's nothing, so I had to throw these in the old air fryer.
so that's not like an old Northwest recipe or anything like that?
No, that came up on this 15 minutes ago when I ran in the door. Yeah, so rather embarrassing. But I figured, for this podcast, it's okay if I jam this down really fast,
It actually,
and then
Oh, it's
I'm going to
preferred.
choke on this, and this is going to be, I'm going to die on camera. But you guys are going to be famous for
Everything for the
Well,
views.
we also have
going to be the first podcast death in history.
Yeah, we have, I think, a fair number of viewers that would consider it a bonus to watch you eat that hot dog shaped food on the podcast.
What I'm thinking about, I'm like, okay, where's Piedmontese? They're in Nebraska.
Yep.
And I just love your area, the nation, right? We're on a podcast here. Build Fast Formulas just around the corner in South Dakota. Barefoot Shoes up the way at North Dakota. I'm all in over here,
Yeah.
I
Piedmontese. So is that an all beef hot dog then? Is that what you're dealing with there?
yeah, so it's more like a steak dog, right?
Okay.
Hot dog macros are just crazy horribly bad, right?
Right.
People look at, oh, I'm getting some protein. You get like 3 grams of protein. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's
Is it
6
just
grams or
fat?
something.
What is a hot dog? What is the macro
Yeah,
even? Is it
18
just fat?
or 19
Yeah.
grams of fat and probably more carbs than the protein. Like it's just nothing. But the Piedmontese dogs, I love these. They're like 4 grams fat or something, 20 grams of protein and no carbs. It's just straight. Yeah, it's a beef. It's not even the same thing. And they taste amazing. So
Yeah.
we have a special hot dog in our
even
part
wrapped in a tortilla shell.
Yeah.
There's a special hot dog in our part of the country known as the wolf dog, but that does not in fact
not made from
contain
wolves.
any wolf. It's
Yeah.
just a fancy name.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to eat wolf. That does not sound.
No,
Probably
wolf
really,
dog
really
sounds
lean,
interesting.
right? Like a wolf doesn't have much fat on it. Well, I don't know. Maybe a winter wolf, they put some fat on. I don't know about that. Probably tastes like a dog though, too.
It was just something not right about that, and as a whole,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not down. I'm not down to try a wolf dog by any means.
It's funny you're using that tortilla for your hot dog. And me growing up, like a lot of times in our house, and Tommy, I don't know if you experienced this, or Chris, a lot of times we didn't have hot dog buns. What you use then is I don't know if this isn't the PC term, but we would use we call it like a white trash hot dog bun, which is just a white piece of bread. Just a piece of bread that you just put the hot dog in and fold it over, and that would be what we would usually get by with on the hot dogs. It's just the piece of bread.
Oh yeah,
in there.
Oh yeah. So that's normally what I still do most of the time. And so, but I was like, I might still be eating when we get on here, and that might cause more problems. I'm like, that's where the tortilla wrap came together.
Yeah.
The idea came together really fast because I'm like, there's less chance of me getting ketchup and mustard and stuff all over because my eating's not very pretty with my elbows. Like the getting into
You
my
find a way to get
face.
it there, though.
Like
Yeah.
you can't do so. Left hand still.
And just so nobody's confused, we are recording, and this will be the best part of the episode. But last time we saw you, or roughly the last time, we were stuffed in the back of your windowless candy van, and
Yes,
getting taken to where we weren't sure where.
being shuttled around Ohio.
You were very trusting, locked in. There was a gated screen, and you guys were in the back, being tossed around, very illegal, like I think. All trusting that someplace we were going that was going to be safe, but who knows? Who knows when you're with me? So yeah,
I'm pretty sure we took some turns down some alleys, and we were slightly concerned at times, but we figured we were with your business partner, so you're going to be, you might not care about us, but
there was some financial issues at stake. Yeah,
I just love that. We're in a parking garage. I'm like, get in the back, get in there, close the door. You're locked in. Let's go. Like, why is this gated closed? Nah.
Everyone's doing it. I
Let's
guess we
find
will.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were at the Arnold this year, and you're there with Barefoot and hanging out and doing all your thing. And had it been a while since you had gone to the Arnold? Had it been a few years? I mean, I know you lifted in the cage, but that's been a few years back, probably.
That was the last time I went. Yeah. So that was 6 years ago. Yeah. The last one I went was, I believe it was no, it wasn't 2016. What year was she born? 2018. 2017, I guess, was the last year. So keep track. It's easy to keep track because my youngest daughter was conceived there. So
fun fact. Fun, as if there wasn't enough cool stuff going on at the Arnold. There's so busy enough weekend to have time to fit that in.
So yeah, lots of important ways to track things in life, right? So anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned it before, but a pretty important question I had for you, owner of Barefoot Shoes, working with the crew out of North Dakota, not far from us, just a 3-hour trip up the road from us. And then also with the Build Fast Formula crew out of Watertown, Nathan and Abby, that's even closer, actually. That's like an 1.5-hour trip from Aberdeen. So really, like, the most important question, I think, is it's pretty heated debate around here a lot of times of which Dakota is better between North Dakota and South Dakota, which is the superior one. So where would you lie on that now?
I need to hear from you first.
Tommy, I mean, what's your take?
I mean, my take is definitely South Dakota. I mean, I am biased being we live here, but I do objectively think that South Dakota is the better state too.
So what's the pros and cons of each? Like, what's the...
So I would say this for sure. South Dakota has a much more significant tourism industry than North Dakota does. Their west side of the state is, I don't know, what do they got? Like
oil fields.
Yeah, that's their west side of the state is oil
they have
fields.
Fracking. Yeah.
Our west side of the state has a fairly robust tourism industry with several national parks.
Mount Rushmore, the Black Hills, the Badlands.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really cool stuff there.
So you're like the California of the Dakotas, and that makes you cooler? I'm not following the logic here.
Well,
that's one
aspect.
One reason.
Okay.
I do also think, Tanner, maybe you know more about this. I don't know. Does South Dakota have a slightly more robust economy than North Dakota as well? I'm not sure.
Well, I guess it becomes tricky if you think about the oil industry. You know, like if you look at that's where they
we probably have this. We probably have a more diversified economy than them. Their state probably runs off of agriculture and oil. I think we have a little more than them. There's definitely numbers out there that could support that, but I have no idea.
Yeah,
we're a major player. In North
it's
Dakota
the shoes.
economy.
It's the shoes. Yeah.
You look at the GDP, and it's like there's it's right there, number like 4 or 5.
Yeah, oil, agriculture, shoes,
footwear.
Trust me, that's how big of a player we are. People don't know this, but it rolls up that way. I love the thing I like about North Dakota is definitely very significant influence of the Canadian accent, and we're talking about not the normal Canadian accent, but the backwoods Canadian, accent. It's right in it's not even like the border areas are, they're, like I said, they're the oil fields that are out there. It's not the
refined
touristy refined things that people sometimes associate with the big cities of Canada. No, this is the true real grit Canada. My wife's Canadian, right? So but she's from the Vancouver, BC, ritzy. Well, I wouldn't say ritzy, but you know what I mean. It's West Coast,
yeah, it's
right?
a different area.
Yeah. And so I get all my A's and my and things like that from more of that, which I just love. Like, I miss that. And so that influence is not like, full Canada, like, but it's that influence is heavier. But then South Dakota, like you're saying, is like got this like, gritty. You've got like those tourists, like the things that people know. So there's distinct differences. What are the best movies that really identify him being filmed in South Dakota versus
Dances
North
with
Dakota?
Wolves?
Well, yeah, you're talking almost Dances with
would be-
Wolves versus Fargo would kind of be like your two
that's
pinnacle movies.
That would be it.
See, and it's just like such a you can't really compare these two, honestly. It's like, how do you say one is
That
like,
is apples and oranges.
It is.
That
It is.
And it does bring up the debate. Like, really, if they were doing it all over, it would probably be East Dakota and West Dakota, because it is such
that's
different
really the real
lifestyles.
debate. It is
Yeah.
East versus West, and we're both East guys. Also, all the guys from Fargo, Build Fast, we're all East Dakota.
So we all
and
live
that's probably our real common ground. We're
Yeah.
all in the same boat. We're all the East.
So it's not okay. I got you.
Yeah,
It's
'cause you
not
go
east
west,
and- It's not.
Yeah, you get west of the Missouri, and it is a different lifestyle, slightly different upbringing, different beliefs and values. Like the East Coast or the East Side is much more in alignment than the West sides of the states.
This is getting down to the real intricacies of culture and geography and background. So what are the influences of like the people that have populated these areas too? How does that roll into the culture of those differences and lifestyles and values that you just talked about?
Well, Western Northeast South Dakota has a significant Norwegian presence in our area, and that's part of where, like, a lot of them came from Minnesota and came a little bit farther and made it here, and they carry that accent with them too. And I think that's like the biggest one that comes to mind in this part of the state, at least, is like that. There's like a big it's still held on a little bit of Norwegian influence on things around here, I guess. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
Norwegian like culture and some of the traditions that go with that, and even for that fact, I guess you would say more Northern European. Like, I mean, not. I don't know, Scandinavia, a little bit like that area.
Yeah.
More of those influences exist in our area than you'll find in a lot of other places in the country.
Okay, so we do have some commonalities then from Oregon, particularly the Western Oregon, not Eastern Oregon, because there's very different aspects. But Western Oregon has a lot of people that wanted to escape Wisconsin and Minnesota. And so there's a lot of population that have moved over from there. And so like my ex-wife and I guess my first two children, they are of the Scandinavian descent. And so it's very, I think my ex-wife was like half Swedish, but their whole family came from Wisconsin. But there's a lot of like that and around Minnesota area. So we get that influence for sure in this area. So I'm very familiar with the accents and things of that. It's escaping. They finally like, we're done. We're out of this like cold. We're moving somewhere else, but we're not like too warm. Right.
Yeah.
We're not going to
We're gonna go to where it rains all
we're
the
not
time.
going. So they end up in Western Oregon. Right. So yeah.
Isn't there I like the geography talk, so there's one other thing it's somewhat adjacent to this. Isn't there a part of Oregon that very specifically would like to be a separate state? Or
there's two. So
okay.
So we have, this is going way back, succession. So and there's two different populations here. So so you have I think the more commonly maybe one known as the state of Cascadia. So the state of Cascadia is like the Washington and upper part of Oregon. And I'm not sure what else, because I really don't fall, even though that's where I live. I'm definitely have a lot more influence from my upbringing around the state of Jefferson. So
right.
And that was the other faction in this.
And remember, it's not Jefferson, it's the state of Jefferson. And that is Northern California. So excluding all major populations of the state of Jefferson up through lower Oregon. So all your rural communities. So it's your backwater hicks, like, country folk that ones you got to be a little scared of too. But it has been something they've been pushing for since I think late 1800s, early 1900s, because they're so distinctly different than the rest of California. I know there's big billboards when you drive through like Upper California. There's meetings, like people have been pushing this stuff for a long time. Now, of course, if they ever were successful, there's no economy at all whatsoever in these areas.
Yeah, right.
So there's nothing to fund like anything. In this area. It's like, we're going to take everything that generates revenue and exclude those. But the state of, if you want to dive down some rabbit holes, those are the two distinct areas, the state of Jefferson and Cascadia, that separate. And I guess I live in Cascadia, but my heart and my upbringing is state of Jefferson, which is almost more of a, they want to succeed from the U.S. I think type of they're very these are very independent people that live in that area,
and their favorite deadlift, of course, being the Jefferson deadlift in that area.
there is a third movement though that I think you're missing out on that we need to touch on. And what do you know anything about the Rajneeshis and that movement?
I'm well aware of the Rajneeshis. They were just around the corner from when we moved up to Oregon. So for those that don't know, I've got some interesting folks I've bumped through in the past. So if you want to watch the Netflix documentary Murder Mountain, so I lived 50 miles deeper and more remote, and this is in the state of Jefferson. So this is people running around in the wilderness with machine guns, and there's helicopters and planes doing surveillance, people disappearing left and right, corruption in the police, serial killers, human trafficking. And so if there's anybody that ever has doubts about the things that I say that I lived in the course of my autobiography, watch that movie. It'll blow you away. Now, that all started with more of a hippie movement in the 70s, and then as it rolled into drug trade in the 80s from that, and this is kind of the deeper remote area from Humboldt. And so that's why we were there. My parents were in the drug trade, and so that's what we were doing in those areas. And or not we, I mean, well, yeah, I was there helping, but I don't think I had much choice in the matter. But that had a lot of this like commune style, like lifestyle, people growing up together. And that's actually the earlier part of my upbringing, was literally in Northern California, in another area, living in just a home completely off grid. You've got to hike into, a couple different families living there. Like my family lived in the same house as another family. My father, who was separated, lived in a trailer up the way that was dumped out there, and there was a broken down bus. That was just like the way it was. Now, the Rajneeshi was a very different kind of cult, and so when we spent time, like myself and my siblings were taken by child services and taken into custody for like a year down in Northern California, which is a whole strange story related to human trafficking and police corruption. We're not going to go into that. But parents got us back, and we ended up out in Eastern Oregon. And the ranchers were like, the Rajneeshis, the crazy, so on. And it was like they had just gotten shut down, I think, like just prior. Because I think that documentary, so you're aware of it. So what's the name of that documentary on the Rajneeshi?
Just looking here.
Wild Wild West. That's a really great documentary, by the way.
Okay.
So I think that ended around 1985.
Wild Country. There we go.
Wild
Country.
That's a big Netflix. I have seen that also. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
So that was basically right as the time, because we came in around 86 or somewhere in there, like right in that, essentially right around the corner from where the Rajneeshi was happening, which was so weird. Like you watch the movie and it's from the kind of the Rajneeshi perspective, and talking, it was kind of a downward look on the, the ranchers in the community and their perception. But that's who we lived around, right? And then hearing their talk about, like, because it just freaked, they just didn't understand, which was just this, wild like sex culture in the middle of the freaking Oregon desert. but it was all just scamming money out of these people. And then they tried to poison the governor or something.
I think they poisoned a buffet, like a local buffet, and
yes, yeah.
It was like one of the only. I think it's considered one of the only like domestic like bioterrorist acts in American history or something like that.
Yes. So and they had like 50 of the 50 Rolls Royces and like all this stuff, and so that was all going around like. Yeah, right where we had then moved into Oregon, which again was just kind of, we were in this area, but still like very like hippie-esque type of family, I guess, or parents still like now living in this area, having experience living around and dealing with cults and then California, and you move up here and then it's like this stuff going on. I don't know. It was just like, that's my experiences as a child.
Yeah.
Hey.
I guess you had to be
there.
People
wonder why I'm a little off. I'm a little off.
That's all a little off is all a matter of perspective.
It's relative.
So yeah.
So I went from one Netflix documentary to another one almost. But we weren't involved in the Rajneeshi. No.
Okay. We talked about Build Fast Formula. We officially announced before you got on that they are now a sponsor of the Massenomics podcast. So we're excited about that. They were also had a booth set up at a powerlifting meet here a couple weekends ago, which was cool. I was going to ask you from your perspective, if someone was going to make a purchase from Build Fast Formula for the first time, and they're only going to buy one thing, what would you recommend? I've had a few different things, and I use the 80/20, and I've got that right now. Had some earlier today, but what would Chris Duffin's recommendation if you're only going to buy one thing?
One thing, VasoBlitz is a fundamental staple that should be in anyone's repertoire that wants to improve performance. So VasoBlitz is a multiplier, right? It's going to take any efforts that you're doing from a training aspect. If you're putting in effort, if you're taking other supplementation, it's going to enhance the results of it. So VasoBlitz it's a really unique, it falls in the pump product category, which seems really unusual, like one for a strength athlete or power lifter to have and be pushing. And it was the very first product that we released with Build Fast, but there's a reason for it, because people were missing. They were putting these pump products in pre-workouts, right? And we do that with our Full Blitz product, but the research, it really shows this cumulative effect of it, right? So it's not what we call an acute dosing product. Like the effects are, you take an aspirin or Tylenol, you have the effects like right then, right? During that period of time.
Or caffeine.
So it's something
caffeine would be an acute, I suppose. Then, right?
Exactly. Versus something that you need to accumulate the stores of. And as you do that, it just gets better and better. And what it does is, it does a lot of things. Helps you make babies at the Arnold,
It increases load in more than just the barbell.
Yeah. So we don't market those effects because don't really need to. I just I'm like, this is a good podcast to make jokes like that. But it improves, the turnover. So it's basically enhances blood flow, opens the capillaries, vasodilation, basically turnover enhancement. So if all of your nutrients are going to be getting to the muscles, you're going to stay with a fuller muscle belly, right? Because you're going to have more in there. You're going to have, better hydration in the muscle. And so anything that you do, anything that you have, like quality nutrition, if I'm taking time to improve my diet or eat more or train more or add other supplements, or people that just straight up anybody that's using like anabolics or HRT, like you're stupid not to add a product like this that is going to amplify that. But it's not for those people. It's for, anyone that is trying to do something a little bit more, right? It's going to amplify those effects. And that's what makes it so powerful. So it's going to increase. So you'll feel the effects like in an acute manner. Like if you take some before training, you're going to have a better pump, a little better endurance, but it's just going to keep building every day. Like day 3's better, day 7's better. And like day 21, it's like it starts becoming a different experience. Like this, you walk into a gym, and this is what really changed for me, years ago with using this type of methodology, and why some of the reasons for bringing that to market is when I got really specific, like let's say with my training and trying to hit these phenomenal, like over the top, numbers. This is just one way to, that not like, if you don't train this way, it doesn't work. So just like, but this is a good story to tell, because I would be training so hard, so frequently, or not frequently, so hard infrequently, but frequency of like really heavy movement. So when I was deadlifting, 900 plus pounds every single week, twice a week, squatting in that manner, tons of sets, this high area. Well, I wasn't doing a whole lot else because I couldn't during the phase of the peaking phase, which was 6 months, definitely 3 to 4 months of like only doing that. My accessory work, my other work tapered off. So you would come into a session, you would normally be like flat, like your muscle bellies would not be full with nutrients because I hadn't been training for a week, right? So it would actually, so before that, I would have to actually do like a pump workout the day or two prior to start building, nothing heavy to accumulate fatigue, but to like fill myself out so that I could actually then come in and train. It's kind of like if you do a meet, right? If you walk into a meet with a full complete deload, don't touch a weight for a week and a half, like there's a level of like, yeah, you're going to see a peak in performance, but then your body is actually not physically ready. And so like, doing something to like fill out, right? Well, this keeps you like that all the time. And so I'd be able to walk in and be like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm full, which reduced my risk for injury, right? I've got fuller muscles. I'm more prepared to train. So that's just a really unique application. I probably spent too much time discussing a very unique application of that product. But yeah, so hands down to me, it's like creatine, it's just something that like you should have, you should take. And if you do it on a daily basis, and nobody else was doing a daily dose of this product. So there's 4 different ingredients in that. They work on a couple different pathways, both different pathways for NO, the vasodilation. We also have another product in there that enhances, well, both. It actually drives into the brain, lactate, and it's another energy system that's in there that is fairly unique in the field. But the results are there. It's just incredible. And this is probably not the audience for it, but I'll say that there's something that is just completely untapped. But your paleo folks, your carnivore folks, all of those people really suffer in performance, right, from the lack of carbohydrates. And you can see it in their body, right? They don't look as good either because they're in a depleted state, right? Now, there may be reasons for doing that. I'm not arguing that, but from a pure performance standpoint, there's an impact of that, right? Adding a product like this just really takes that away, because now you're going to have another mechanism for keeping all those nutrients in that full muscle, which is going to help you train longer, train harder, and also recover better. So anyway, yeah, I'm ranting all sorts of stuff, but what does it do? It improves hypertrophy. It improves strength. It improves your muscular endurance, and your recovery and anabolism. Like, these are massive. And yeah, it's just like taking Viagra too. So, if you've got a young hot wife like myself, like it's a welcome side effect,
So Vaso Blitz, make babies. discount code Massenomics.
So anyway, release that. And then, yeah, people are like starting mixing it with, like, on their training days, mixing it with Bang, mixing it with whatever their favorite stimulants were. And then that's where Full Blitz came from, is this full formula. And I think, it's just a really great pairing of stimulants and nootropics along with this, so stimulants and nootropics, stimulants oftentimes are vasoconstrictors and have more of a negative impact. So this negates that out. Oh, did I mention heart health? So yeah, it's massive for improvement of cardiovascular health. And actually, so a lot of the independent products are used in a lot of like naturopathic settings and other settings to improve cardiovascular function for those that are aging. and also kind of mitigate against somebody that's like on HRT or things like that. It's going to basically change a lot of some of the negative aspects of that around. So reduce your blood pressure, and have other positive cardiovascular outcomes. So anyway, so counterbalances that when you add the stimulant nootropics, and that's the full blitz. But what's cool about that is you're not locked into a specific stimulant nootropic amount that may work for one person, be too much for another, or not enough for someone else to get those level of the base products, the 4 that you need at that clinically studied dose. So that's what a lot of people do, because full blitz is really strong, is they'll take, one serving, half a serving of one, half a serving of the other, which is 2 scoops is a serving, right? Put that together. And now you've got like your perfect, for me, it's 1.5 to half, right? So you could tailor that to your needs. We're like, oh my God, my work schedule changed around. I got to train late at night. I'm just barely going to take any of the stimulant or none, and still take the other daily use product and get the effects prior to training. So it's just, it's, wow. Okay. I went deep up there, but
that's
sorry,
a good
I'm really
answer.
passionate.
Yeah.
You guys know how, for your listeners that don't know me, I'm incredibly passionate about the things that I do. That's why I do them. Like, I mean, I walked away from an incredibly high-paying, successful career doing turnarounds and running companies to do this, because, and I don't survive the way that I did there, but I love what I do, and I'm so passionate about the things that I do. There's a reason. So yeah, I definitely apologize if people think I'm like just running or trying to, like, I just love talking about the effects of the things, the products that we bring to market. So
no, I think that's cool, and that's why we want to get your opinion on it too. And so moving from one passion right here, moving one, if you say almost north up the map, to another passion, to going up the interstate, we're gonna go to just right down the interstate, actually, too. You could make the trip from one to the other pretty easily if you wanted to check out.
I'm planning on doing it. I am coming out there. My wife has been bugging me for a long time. Anyway, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, and definitely more so with Build Fast shifting with some amazing partners that have brought on board that are managing the business side of it. But yeah, up the interstate.
Yeah, it'll be really simple for you. Go to Watertown there, and then you'll just make a slight detour to Aberdeen to see us and go to the gym, and then right up the road to Fargo to talk about Barefoot, which I got a few things to ask you about Barefoot, but the most exciting thing we got to talk about, which we haven't really, this is kind of the formal announcement. We'll also have this out on, Instagram and everywhere, email campaigns and everything else that we exist. But there is officially, we've hinted at it before, but officially there is the launch of what I think is officially now titled as the Ursanomics, which is the Barefoot by Massenomics collaboration shoe, which we couldn't possibly be more excited about.
I know. I'm so excited that we took like this amazing shoe and then we brought it down a level, by attaching the Massenomics name to it and aesthetic. But I'm excited, it's the more the everyman thing, for the people that don't, feel as much about themselves. And, it's in that realm. So, wait, I'm supposed to talk.
You're supposed to say good stuff. That's actually better. That's a better sales pitch. Maybe
more relatable that way.
It's more relatable. It's more,
Yeah.
And, it's something, that we've been working on for quite some time. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Bringing the Dakotas together.
Yeah, so
not
you
about
can
the separation anymore.
No, it's the uniting. We're uniting.
This is the uniting or the creation of. It's just like the state of Jefferson. We're going to switch. It's not north and south. Creating.
Yes.
East Dakota.
Harmonizing it.
East Dakota.
And
Dakotas.
It is. I think
Dakota.
it's officially available. You can purchase it for pre-sale right now. It'll deliver approximately. I think the target is sometime in October. I think that's
early October, I believe.
Yeah. So it can be purchased now. You can get your name on a pair, and probably like there's a few interesting parts about the shoe, but I believe it's the first time that at Barefoot that you guys have merged the two common materials that you've used between the canvas and the suede, where you're getting a pairing of both on the ergonomics, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. So, and our canvas too, I don't know if people they're familiar with the canvas that we use, but it's not the canvas that you're familiar with that a lot of products. It's a high grade, thick, durable canvas. And I love it in our shoe product because it is so lightweight. It's one of my favorite products is our canvas shoe if I'm like doing very active work for that reason. But the suede has the properties of the flexibility, the form creation, and suede definitely, you got to know how to work it, what direction, because it stretches one way and not the other. So actually how you incorporate that in the shoe and how that's designed and the orientation is really critical. And yeah, we've never done anything like this where incorporating those two together, those two materials. And I think it's really great. I mean, like as a minimalist shoe company, all the other products out there, they're focused on these non-organic, like real materials, right? And that's, to me, is, you know, basic stuff. Like maybe it's my connection with nature or whatever it is, but I just believe, and that sounds terrible, like, oh, but you're using animals, but sustainable. By the way, hides from Barefoot are from the USA. So probably from the Midwest.
Yeah.
So, it might just be down the street.
Yeah.
Right,
Circle of life right here. Yeah.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
But the properties that are in materials like that really can't be compared to with the synthetic products out there, right? There's big differences, and just doubling down, like, yeah, we don't have a vegan option, but there's a ton out there. We're a shoe brand that makes things out of, you know, leather and canvas, and that's really unique, having like that as a core, like leather across our products. And the construction, again, I lifted. So when we talk about passion and reason for doing stuff, so I started educating on foot mechanics. I used to get laughed at, you know, in the industry. People would chide me when I'd go do things. And we're talking like over 10 years ago, like, oh, that's not real, it doesn't work, whatever. And so I lifted barefoot for, like, with no shoes for 6 years before starting Barefoot with my partners in North Dakota. And people would just reach out and ask me, well, what do I do? Because I don't own my own gym. Like, and what do you recommend? And I honestly couldn't recommend any of the shoes out there. They all had misses. They just weren't appropriate. So it was just like, wear some socks or do whatever, like spend some time outside of your shoe trying to strengthen your foot. Like, that's the foundation. A lot of people get this miss with minimalist shoes, Barefoot, in thinking that the shoe is the answer, and we're like, you put it on and the world's better. It's not. Like, is the barbell the answer? Not if it sits in the corner. Like, it doesn't do anything on itself. And if I don't load any weight on it and I just pretend to use it, like, it doesn't do anything, right? As a whole, what does is getting stronger, being able to use your muscles and your joints through a range of motion is going to positively impact you as a human being. And if you have weakness, an area of weakness, the body is going to protect that area. This is simple, very simple, and it's not arguable. These facts are not arguable. If you've got weakness, the body, if you're at risk of injury because of that, will start to reduce the range of motion by creating tightness around that joint, limiting your range of motion. And then you're going to end up with compensations elsewhere in the body as that happens as well. Just like one of my phrases, you know, squatting doesn't make your hips tight. Squatting like shit makes your hips tight. And that's the thing, right? So that's the body coming in and going, oh no, these patterns are bad. We're going to start having an impact on that. And this person is going to, like, I don't stretch my hips. I move well through that range of motion. And any day I can get close to doing the splits. And I am not, you know, like a hypermobile person, but I've lifted thousands of pounds, right? The weight doesn't do it, right? And weakness does the same thing. And sitting there on a foundation that we package up and don't use. So I hate to break it to everybody, but well, I hate to break it to, you know, I guess myself and my partners and everybody at Barefoot, but you don't need our shoes. You just need to spend some time if you want to shortcut that and be without your foot and strengthening and using your foot through its range of motion and learning to control and manage and strengthen everything related to the foot and ankle complex. So don't go buy your Massenomics branded Barefoot shoes. Okay, don't do it.
Whoa. What's with all this playing hard to get stuff over here?
Don't play so hard. But what the shoes do though is shoes do have a role. So I say a lot of this in jest because we do need something to protect us from the environment, cuts and abrasion and heat and disease. I'm not going to go walking around public restrooms with nothing on my foot. You know, I'm like the footwear, the moccasins of thousands of years ago. That was like what's the minimalist that you need to accomplish those three things and then allow you to use that. So now if I'm wearing that shoe, I'm getting those effects without actually having to like schedule time to go do some of these other things. Right. Or, you know, I don't have an environment that I can be, you know, barefoot in. Like I'm not going to go work in my shop and, you know,
Casual Friday, you got to take
open up my
level.
foot, you know, I can't, if I had a normal job, I couldn't show up to the office with no shoes on. Right. So it's a pathway for you to be able to achieve those things. Right. But the answer isn't like just putting them on. The answer is the cumulative effect of like getting stronger and using it. Like you don't want to put on the shoe and just be passive, like crushing and leaning on your arch and not like, I'm so used to standing on an arch support, so I'm just going to flat it on the floor. Like, no, try to be active with the foot and control and move you know, like, and that's going to develop the strength. So anyway, I'm just trying to kill some of like the myths or, you know, also the arguments the other way around, you know, like, yeah, a lot of this is right. If you understand what is being said, the foot and ankle is not different than every other part of the body. There's nothing there that says every day I need to wake up and I need to put an elbow wrap and wrap my arm and wear that all day long until I go home and go, oh man, it feels so good to take it off.
I see. Tanner's been doing that for years. I've been telling him he needs to stop.
There's a time. There's a time and place. There is a time and place, though, right? Like I tweaked it out. It needs a little bit of rest for, you know, a few days or a week or something. But if you did that ongoing, you're going to end up with more problems there because it's going to get weak, and you're probably going to end up with problems in your other shoulder and elsewhere in your body. I mean, it's when you start thinking, it's like so simple to understand, and that's actually what a meta-analysis of like the whole orthotics industry shows. It shows an improvement in a 6 to 8 week time frame in reduction of pain because it's, you know, you're standing on this arch support. It's helping you not load that area. And then after that, no long-term benefit whatsoever. So no long-term benefit. And then it's teaching you and taking away the ability to develop strength. So what is the long-term impact now of not using your body? Atrophy, decay, death. So, but over speaking a little bit, but I think my point shines through.
Absolutely. So the main point you're trying to make is go buy a pair.
Go buy. Yes. So we're done playing hard to get. We're done playing hard to get.
Yeah.
One off. This is the first, like I said, I'm really excited. This is the first time we've had this pairing. And you guys were so active in, you know, the design process, the, you know, selection, the colors, like everything as it relates. This is a really, really cool product. And yeah, I mean, it's really cool. And that's why there's an order timing on this. Like it's you know, this is a we're making these, we've got to, it's not something that that's made in advance and stockpiles of stuff. This is a cool, unique opportunity. If you want some,
and it's not going to be around forever either. So the time to buy it is now too. So
the collaboration between Barefoot and Kabuki with the Crimson, there's not a week that goes by that people go, I want some. When can I get them? I'm like, we said it was a limited run. Like, if you wanted some, order some.
Yeah. Yes. And
they
same
are
is
fucking
true.
wicked. I bought 4 pairs.
Yeah.
I keep them in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to talk about,
I knew. Now people are going to be trying to buy those. What size do you wear? I think you got some extras.
and to talk about the design process a little bit, and I personally have liked shoes my entire life. I've always thought shoes are really cool, and working with you guys was a ton of fun because, I mean, we've had, Massenomics, we've been known to have some crazy ideas and throw some things out there. And I mean, we threw a lot of ideas at you guys and you were kind of like, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that. So yeah, we have this 2 material shoes. We got the suede, the canvas. We got it's black and red, which is also kind of a newer thing for you guys too. We have the Massenomics logo embroidered on the side. We also got the MSS NMX abbreviation across the back upper heel. So we were able to do a lot of really custom, cool Massenomics things to it, while I think also keeping it fairly subtle in the way that it doesn't just scream Massenomics. When you're walking down the street, like if you're a fan of black and red sneakers, you'll probably be a fan of this shoe too.
Yeah, I've got some kind of celebrity folks that wear them, and it's so funny because I was just like, man, we get so many comments on these shoes like all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool, but this is going to one up that. Like it's really, really cool.
Okay,
Tommy,
you're not going to get yours on any celebrity.
Whoa. No, that did just remind me though. I do have a question for you because I could have swore
we talked about it on the podcast.
Yes, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Did I see, like, going into the NBA finals or Eastern Conference finals, did Jimmy Butler have a pair of the slip-ons on one day? Are you familiar with that?
One day, he wears them every day.
Does he really? Okay. So how did that come about?
He didn't know who I was, didn't know, like he just was in this process. He's really into foot health. And so the last couple years, in last year specifically, he's been trying every minimalist company out there and buys and abandons. And Jimmy says our shoes are the best. And so he's got a lot of sponsors dollars, so they're not showing up like on his main feed. But if you follow his stories or you watch like news outlet stuff of just like, you'll see him wearing them all the time. It is his go-to. And yeah, that's so I think that's a good positive benefit, which is hilarious. Like I've seen some shots. There was one I was watching this, it was like, when they walk into the game, there's this like, it's become kind of a fashion. So a lot of times, the NBA players have a fashion designer, like, designed to fit them. It's like become this runway, they're taking pictures, and Jimmy's just strolling through wearing his barefoots. Like that's his like,
and
I'm
that's the clip I saw. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's we saw that and talked about it earlier this year, and it's particularly cool with Jimmy too because he's a very well liked and respected player too. I think even league wise or fan wise, a lot of people just are into him and think he's a good dude. So that's pretty cool for Barefoot.
Yeah. So he's reached out recently to the team and has talked a little bit to us, and so that's we'll see where that goes. We're certainly not players in the realm of what it takes to play in that arena from an advertising type approach, right? But there's some other people beside him, I'll say, that are have some exposure, unique individuals that be great to name drop, but that's not really how we do things. So but yeah, if you watch, you'll start seeing, which is really crazy that this small little cult brand is so far outside of like the audience that we're used to talking to, that is wearing those, from reality TV stars to movie stars to NBA player. Like I'm like, that's really wild. really wild that those have populated to that within a matter of years. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
it is cool. I wear the Ursus every day in the gym, and I wear the Bruin every day at work. Tommy has both of those also. But same question, Chris, that I had for you on Build Fast. If you could only have one style of barefoot shoe, if you could only have one in your closet, which one would you go with? Oso, Ursus, or Bruin, I guess, would be your choices. And you could get more specific on materials, but
or high top or low top, even too.
Right.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so tough. Oh man.
I really like the Bruin for work. I wear that all the time, and
I'm wearing the Bruins right now.
Yeah.
Because I was planning on working this morning, but then I had to run down to an engineering service and get a 3D scan of this product I'm working on, which is why I was running late. Hadn't eaten yet, got here. That's my life. Anyway, although I was working on putting together this badass custom refrigeration system because refrigeration technology is so freaking outdated. So I'm building my own from scratch. So I was working on that, but I was ready to charge it with, I think I was going to use MAP gas or over propane, get the pressure high. Anyway, so my favorite, I think that maybe there's some, continued evolution of pulling stuff together. So that, the Oso has been like my go-to for so long. I love the slip-on nature of that. And the leather insole is just like awesome. Right. And so maybe we need to carry the leather, across insoles, across maybe some of the other products as well. The insoles on the others are great, but leather insoles are unique in the industry, but they're really amazing for like odor and other aspects where they'll never wear out basically. But the Ursus, I'm going to put on a nice pair of Ursus suede if I'm going to, drink some Vaso Blitz and take the wife out on a nice date.
Sounds like a wild night right there.
I don't know why.
You come home and she says, anyway. Is that Vaso Blitz on the counter?
Yes, it is. Is that Marvin Gaye on the record player? Yes.
Just like every day. No. It's daily dose. No, anyway. Yeah, the looks of the suede and the color is just so great. And then if I'm gonna go to the gym or do some run, do some sprints with the kids or something like that, man, the canvas, the Ursus Lux is just and then if I'm doing shop or running stuff around. So what's really interesting, so the Bruin, a little bit of backstory on the Bruin is I'm going to be in pain for the rest of my life and probably going to get worse as a result of it, because I decided to test competitors' boots, and I was building my house. If anybody watches my Instagram from the past, I basically built a house on a house, and in the course of that, ended up hand digging a whole lot of stuff, laid 200 feet of 100-pound bricks 3 feet high. Anyway, it rains here in the Northwest, and I'm digging, and my foot slips, I'm not going to mention the company's name, and my foot's going to strike the shovel, then changed, and I caught it with my big toe and folded it over backwards on top of my foot. And so it was one of the most painful things I've actually dealt with. And it was 2 years ago now, and it still hurts every day. I've worked with Dr. Ray, one of the leading orthopedists and designers of correct toes. We've done imaging, still having control. I'm gaining control and strength back in that joint. But there's a balance between structure, rigidity, flexibility based on environments. You need the right tool for the job. And what Barefoot does is we create tools for every type. So I just talked about the different ways that I would use each of our shoes as a tool for specific things, whether it's to try to get in bed, go for a sprint, work in the shop, right? And there's still more tools that we need to create, but we're not an apparel company. We're not a shoe company. We're a tool company. And what other people want to create in the minimalist world sometimes is not thinking down that path. And I used what was a boot and damaged myself in a way that I'm going to pay the implications for this life as I was testing competitors' products. And it fucking sucks. And so I'm still testing. And actually, interestingly enough, I didn't mention it when I was there at the Arnold. You guys probably didn't see, but I ran this race thing against Huck Finn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We're aware.
We know all about it.
That joint in my foot has still been really not in great shape. And so actually before that race, I was trying to play with some more parkour stuff, and I took a leap off of something in that joint because of its lastness, dislocated. And so I did that whole thing with Huck with a dislocated MCP joint in my big foot. I took my shoe off afterwards and reset it. And so I was in pretty extreme pain that whole weekend. And as we were walking around to and from the event, it set me back a long ways. So that sucked. But yeah, it's all a result from this boot that didn't feel so good. And yeah, anyway, that's why I'm the mad scientist though, right? Because I live and breathe the things that we do, and I test and live other people's products, and I do a lot of stuff that doesn't make it necessarily onto social media or the avenues that people do in the creation or involvement in the products and things that I'm involved with. That's why I'm passionate, because I know and I believe and I understand not just the theory and application, right? Which is kind of my expertise and background as being, a dual engineer, specialist in biomechanics, all these sorts of things. But somebody that'll get under a bar with 1,000 pounds, somebody that'll do all the things and live it in the real world and have the experience of writing and living on the edge. Step in, be quiet. Writing and living on the edge, which is where you learn, and you can grow 10 years and 10 days from being on that line and knowing where you're going to fall. And so that's essential in who I am and that involvement in all those products and things that I do across to Barefoot, Build Fast, and Kabuki Strength.
Huck Finn did also want us to let you know that he almost beat you in that competitive tag match.
Did you watch it? Almost beat me?
Yeah. He said he almost had you.
He had a really good dive, that's for sure.
Realize I was running on one foot.
Well, he was probably drunk.
Yeah.
He was,
but also that's
which is like
if that's your normal state. I don't know if that's a
hungover.
Disadvantage though. Yeah,
but I smoked him.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good time.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Okay, Chris, we've got this game we play with every guest. You've actually been here before. We play a game, but it's called Overrated, Underrated, and we've got a new special set of overrated, underrated topics for you. You can elaborate as much or as little on each one as you want to, but you just have to decide if each one's overrated or underrated. You can't ride the line.
Okay.
So if you're ready, okay, first one here, overrated or underrated. Now this is a reference back to the Arnold, but overrated or underrated furries. Are you familiar with furries?
Oh my God. Were you guys there?
Yeah, we were with you. Yeah.
With the furry crowd. I mean, I've been familiar. You know who furries are, but we walked out and there was 50 of them around the Arnold
statue,
climbing on it, posing, doing a thing together. I don't know. I've seen like a furry here or there before. That was we have video of it. We got photos of it.
That was a unique experience.
That is something I just don't want to be involved with. I'll tell you that. So I don't know if that's an overrated or underrated, but it's a hard no.
And you found something of note when something stands out at the Arnold. That's what you know. Like,
that's a good point too. Yeah.
Just the comments, like what you could hear them say, it was just so interesting. Well, yeah. I'm not knocking. It was. I'm just saying.
You're not yucking their yum.
Yeah. And for me, it's just a hard no.
Yeah. I think we can find common ground there. Okay. All right. Overrated or underrated? Now, as a Pacific Northwest man that owns, I know you said it's not a shoe company, it's a tool company, but for the sake of this, an Oregon man that owns a shoe company, overrated or underrated? Nike.
Overrated.
Do
you want to hear a story? Do you know how modern shoes got misdesigned?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So Born to Run was written, kind of spurred, the running craze, right? And so this is in place with Nike at the development of the shoe. And so what happened is people were starting to tear their hamstring or tear their calf, right? Detach it, rolls up in a ball. And so they looked at shoes and looked at the design and talked to an orthopedist. And let me take this a step further back, okay? So if we go back, heels on shoes are a result of riding horses. You needed to have a stirrup, and the heel was for the stirrup. You've got the pointed toe. That then rolled into designer shoe design as, the equestrian area kind of a change. So you ended up with shoes that looked a lot like that, with a point and an elevated heel that were in the design in the 1800s and 1900s, right? And so then the running craze started going. This started happening. And they said, well, here's the issue. Everybody's walking around with a shortened gastroc from wearing heels on shoes. So you either need to have people like train and regain that pattern, or just put a heel on your shoe so that they're not putting them in the range. So when you put the heel on the shoe and you raise it, well, for your stride, you have to have a raised toe, right? And then that creates an instability. So if you go raise your heel, raise your toe, pull it a little inward because of the point, right? And you try to move around a little bit, you'll see that you have no control of the ankle complex and your knee moves all over the place, okay? So then comes the arch support that then has to be added on there as well to now passively start to control. So all the science that's behind shoes is non-existent. If you actually, like I said, I referenced the meta-analysis of use of orthotics, which is the clinical application of some of these concepts. But it's just Band-Aid after Band-Aid to try to fix these base issues that are related to hundreds of years ago that have carried through, right? And then that also starts creating other problems that we're not aware of, right? So now we've got that instability based on that. So now we're passively controlling it, which then creates weakness. It creates loss of neurological awareness or proprioception of, like, I need to actually be in control of this. So thus now we've got hip and knee problems, but we also have, because of this, which you could argue as a benefit, but is an overstride, right? So that's going to create a longer stride. It changes the strike patterns. It does a lot of things, but one thing that overstride does is, as you're doing it, it creates an open scissor. If you haven't watched content from Kabuki Strength on the impact of pelvis orientation to diaphragm orientation and control of the torso, stability of the spine, breathing patterns, what are you going to end up with there? You're going to end up with the #1 healthcare cost in America: low back pain. Okay, because we're having this happen as well, and changing the gait patterns, right? So there's just this entire cascade of stuff that is all built on this that they knew at the beginning, but chose the path of not of education, not of strengthening and regaining movement, but of let's apply a Band-Aid, which requires another Band-Aid, and so on. And then the entire industry is built upon it. What was the question again? Overrated or underrated?
Yeah.
So
Overrated, it sounds like.
overrated.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Okay, that's fair. You're a man that's been on a lot of podcasts before. Highest honor, of course, being on the Massenomics podcast now twice, dwarfing everything else by miles, no doubt. But overrated or underrated, Lex Friedman?
I don't know that it's either. Like, there's been some really great information on there. I'd say underrated because he's taken a lot of flack these days from people going, he's trying to promote different things and honestly, if you meet the guy and you really listen to anything that he does, I think definitely falls in like what they call the neurodivergent crowd, but he just wants to know more, and he's just trying to explore and understand without bias some of these things. And so, he's interviewing people on both sides of the topic. I know he definitely, I think with his Kanye podcast, went actually after him a bit in a not a super confrontational way or at all, but I think he's done some really, really good things. And so for me personally, that was a big hit. I don't know how I got on there. I think it was maybe before he got too much momentum, but I'm like, wow, I sat in the same seat as Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of wild thinking about that.
But I mean, you were there and
And-
look at him now, so I think it's safe to say that you played
Yeah,
a
he
major
should be the
part
one
in
thanking you.
his trajectory.
Yeah. So you guys should try to reach out and have those people on your like Chris Duffin was on this podcast, so like
Yeah, between you on there and we've actually had a handful of Joe Rogan carryovers. So I mean, I think
Nice.
we're right there on the cusp. It's just
well,
like
give Rogan a holler and tell him to get me on.
you could be on there.
Yeah.
You're probably like a connection away from that, I suppose.
If someone
right?
told me you were on there,
I-
I'd been like, well, of course he was.
Yeah, right.
I'm told like one of his close personal friends has told me that like they want to find a spot for me. It's been a matter of timing. So
Yeah.
I'm right in there, but I think my issue is they like having people on that are a lot of podcasts, a lot of anything. Here's the person that is X, like here's their expertise. Let's dive in.
Right.
And the fact that
You have 7 of
it's
those
a
areas.
little hard to pigeonhole me
Yeah.
into certain area in any spectrum is problematic sometimes for me with some of the larger exposure stuff, because they want you to be X person, X expert, and I play in too many different areas that it's confusing, I think, for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, now their 3-hour podcast needs to be 10 hours to accommodate all of your experiences.
Yeah, like what topic are we going into next? Let's spend a couple hours here. Let's go there.
Okay. Last one here. You went through your grand goals, obviously, where you squatted and deadlift 1,000 pound for reps on both of those, and talk about grand goals. Well, you've also been in the corporate world, as you talked about. You spent some time there, and there's a bit of like corporate personnel training jargon that Tommy and I were talking about, kind of laughing about. It's not grand goals. A lot of times in training, you'll talk about SMART goals.
Okay.
So SMART goals, underrated or overrated?
Actually underrated. Yeah.
Okay.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound, baby.
He knows his stuff here.
Yeah. So did you come across that in your prior work life? The SMART goal stuff. Then you have some experience with it.
Yes, I've got my expertise was a lot of very specific business process arena. Actually dealt with Kaizen, value stream mapping.
These were other terms we brought up as we were talking
Lean
about
manufacturing.
Yeah.
So I was a lean manufacturing expert. So we want to talk about and you start getting deeper, because a lot of that stuff is kind of base level, like event kind of based, but a lot of what I did fell within what they call Hushin Kanri, which is a Japanese term that equates to basically policy deployment. And so it's more of like your larger strategic initiative as it relates to implementing. So it's a change management, it's managing, it's like interaction, your human resources, your interaction, coaching, development, all these aspects. So which comes from it's a kind of a PDCA cycle, but different than how most people know plan, do, check, act. It's actually more of an annual, larger scale process of plan, deploy, adjust, and clarify. And so it dives into some real depth of stuff that God, I don't need to get into at this point in time. But I'll tell you what, I will send you a video of some of my training.
All right.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm blocking off tomorrow.
Yeah.
I actually, you'll enjoy my take on it. So I actually roll it into, so I look at it, sorry for a tangent, but we're going to go there anyway. All right. So I look at it as 3 different layers, right? So it's it's why, how, and what. And so your what is this Hoshin Kanri. It is this strategic like management of a business endeavor, like looking at external factors and companies and how you approach it. And this large strategic, which is often rolled out in at least an annual, but usually like a 10-year cycle, right? And so that is like your outer layer of like tactical, and you can employ this in a personal life as well, but it's tactical implementation of change management. And it's your what. Okay. Your how is more of your so it's enter, intra, so different levels of like, so this is external, like, right. Organizational. And then you've got your interpersonal, which is how you interact with other people. And that is going to roll into like your involvement of how can I build trust and credibility? How can I, it's like all these factors of like the interaction, getting buy-in. And so that's a circle with it. If you don't have that, if you don't have the ability to engage with people, to be able to lead people effectively, to be able to resolve conflict, those sorts of things, you can't even do that. So that's how. And then you dive deeper into this is really within yourself. And that is your strength of your body, mind, and spirit in understanding truly what your values are. Okay. And I know this sounds really boring but this is honestly really, really incredibly stuff. But all these things, it's to me, they're different wheels. And I could probably share it on my screen too, if I took 5 seconds to pull it up. But that's really the driver of like, what do you want to bring to the world? Like, and what's interesting for me is the deeper piece of that as you get in there is your own growth. Your own growth is a driver of this. And so we talked about grand goals just briefly or a time or two in this podcast. And so to me, the overreaching, the accumulation of fatigue, the getting to a point and then coming out of that and peaking for a meet or event or whatever, right, is a cycle of development. And so, to actually move forward in life, to be able to accomplish something, to be able to be filled with life is about growth. If we're not growing, the process of atrophy is happening, the death, decay. And guess what? At the end of the day, things come and fucking hit you at life if you're not prepared. And if you're not growing, if you're not strong enough, body, mind, and soul at those beginning, that core level, something's going to happen, a death of a family member or whatever it is, that you're just going to lock up and not know how to handle it. And I know everybody's seen this happen to people at life. Like, you can try to live with comfort and not have stress and shit in life, but life's going to fucking come at you. So you've got a choice. Like, you know, you're going to be either on this downward trend and something's going to hit and you're going to crash even further, or the choice is to choose when to crash. So I tie it into this cycle of 6 P's of personal development. All right. And it looks like the process, you know, for, you know, training as a whole. It's like a square root symbol, you know, it's a little flat, then you drop down in a pole, then you come slowly back up and hit a peak, right? So that first moment is what I call the precipice. And that's we have a choice at times. Like, when you're at life and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, I'm scared of a conversation with somebody. I'm scared of starting a podcast. I'm scared of making a career change. I'm scared of X, right? And there's a process of recognizing, you know, if this is a precipice moment, if it is, and it's scary. You don't know what the other side looks like, the hole that you're going to jump into is going to look like, how deep it's going to be, how fucking chaotic it's going to be. But on the other end, you know, like, I can see where I want to be. And so you fucking jump, and it's a free fall. You jump off the precipice. That's the choice. I'm going to sign up for meet. I'm afraid of it. I'm going to public speak. I'm going to do whatever it is, right? I'm going to tie all this together. It's not too long. Are we bound on time on this podcast?
Just by your time.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go there. All right. So you take this jump, and now you're in this free fall moment. It's an interesting time. I'm not going to dive into that too much right now, but there's a lot to discover in that process. It's can teach you a lot about, like, what your fears are, things that you didn't know about yourself in this moment of taking this leap off the precipice. And just a second. Just 1 second.
All right.
I'm actually, is this a video podcast too?
It is,
bet.
yes.
We're pretty high tech.
Okay. All right. There we go. I'm covering this. This is like the stuff that I cover with people in, like, that I mentor, like, in my organization, and from a mentorship standpoint with executives, and, you know, so on, is like, because this one ties into it. But it's like, we're going to get somewhere that's really, I think, pertinent to share with people. So let me switch to a share screen. I'll try to keep this, you know, it'll be what it's going to be. All right. If people don't want to listen to it, that's fine. They can cut off, but they should. We're going to drop some value. All right. I wasn't planning on going on this, but okay. I'll return my screen so I can hit share screen. All right. Boom. All right. We live?
We are
Yeah.
live.
Okay. So we talked about this component here of those different things. I call it the skill spectrum. So over on the right side, this is the plan, deploy, analyze, adapt cycle. That's your what you're going to do to drive change in your life. Inside of that, there's a whole lot of stuff we're not going to go into, but here's the piece that I would work with on how people engage and coach and work with others, but mastering influence and credibility, resolving, being able to handle conflict in a meaningful way, coaching for results, and communicating with intent. Within that is your mind, body, spirit. This all starts with momentum. And you see that same check mark here. Change in life doesn't happen without the initiation coming from the left side, which is a stage of personal growth. Now, what's interesting is you go over here I've got the same symbol of this whole outer left thing is over here. And that is because we can actually use this personal growth cycle to enhance our own ability to handle more, take on more. And that means, you know, creating businesses, doing more in life, working better with people. It's this continual cycle. But we talked about the precipice. It's like this scary moment of like fucking unknown, and I'm going to take the jump. And when we do, you're now in the plunge. And I'm not going to talk so much about the plunge right now, but you, at the end of it, you've taken this life. Like, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to take on so much, like whatever it is. I'm going to have a baby. Oh my God. Holy shit. Like, raising a child is fucking the first time, like, insane. You're in this pit like this, and you don't know how long it is. It feels like it's the end of the world. And this is a moment like when you're in this pit of recognizing just that once you understand what the 6 P's are of the human development, like, and this is the piece I just want to get across with this, okay, that I think is really life-changing for some people is, one, we're all there. And you have the choice of it coming at you and fucking sideswiping you because it's going to in life, or the choice of developing it, just like going to the gym and getting stronger, developing this. And that's making the choice of doing this with purpose and reason. At the same time, it does just happen. And sometimes you get there and you don't realize it, and you're in this fucking pit of despair, of challenge, of overwhelmed. That's the big way to feel it. I'm overwhelmed. The thing is, it happens to everyone at all levels. And there's 3 pieces I want to leave people with when you're there. And the first one is just to recognize I'm here. All right. And that can be big enough, going, you know what? All right, I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm at the end of my capability, my limits. I don't know where to turn. It's one of those moments. I'm in a pit. Okay. That can be massive. Now, the next step, once you understand that, is to be able to go, you know what? I need to celebrate this. I need to celebrate. This is one of those moments in life that I'm going to be so proud of when I get to the other side of this. That when I can sit back and know that I overcame that, and or tell my kids about it, or my grandkids about these moments. It's the thing that makes up life. And then the last piece of that, the third piece, is to now leverage that, to go, it means I care. It means I want to put forth my best. It means that it's going to bring my best efforts forth, and I'm going to perform at a higher level. Okay. And now you start like pulling yourself out of the pit. You want to minimize the time that you're in the pit. Start pulling yourself out. Now that's where using and having developed the skills on the right side that we talked about is going to help you pull faster and higher. So the more skills that you have, the better you're going to be able to rebound to a higher peak. All right. We're going to dive into this. Could be a whole long, like I said, 10-hour podcast, right? That's what we're doing today, right? You blocked out today, right? So, and, you know, taking that time when you hit the plateau to gather yourself, to reflect, to be able to recover, to do the self-care, the maintenance. But if you stay too long, you're going to flatline, and then you're going to start a decline, just like not going to the gym. You need time off to recover, but you don't need 6 months off, or you're going to get weak. All right. You're going to lose your gains. And this is life as a whole. So understanding that you have both micro moments of this in life, from a hard conversation with a family member or a coworker or a boss or anyone, that you can continually, every one of these moments, you can build upon these micros, just like microcycles, to build on a bigger mesocycle so that you can accomplish more. I can't do now, or couldn't do 10 years ago or 20 years ago, what I can handle and manage now because of repeat cycles, right? Of being able to do this, but also knowing how and where to direct this, so that at the same time, I'm choosing specifically to take some precipices that are weaknesses over here on the right, whether it's being able to handle meaningful conflict, coaching for results, so on, that I'm actually building these micro skills to build a larger skill spectrum that then I can use for the bigger thing of creating, you know, something bigger with my life to act, change, and affect more people in a positive manner. And that's You notice this dragon, the same dragon that circles my fucking body.
Yeah,
It's the Ouroboros. It's this, because it's this constant. They're all within each other, and it's multidimensional as they play a role in this. But this, you want to fucking up level your life, like this is the approach to doing that. And so, sorry for going on a bit of a tangent. I think I summarized this better having it in my head. Can you just cut out that last bit as we let up where I before I pulled it up? But it's something I feel really powerful to share, because this has taken me like some 25 years to really pull together and share this in a really cohesive manner with people. This is like a 16-hour, or a 16-hour piece total, at least. But this gives at least, I think, some really good usable pieces, at least as the perspective around the pit, which can be really useful when people are struggling in life. And that's what I like to share. So sorry for the tangent. What was the question?
I believe we started on smart goals. Smart goals.
That was not a yeah. So the outer wheel over here is Hoshin Hanri, which smart goals is a piece of that. So anyway,
right.
I know a few acronyms in the business world. So
congratulations, you passed overrated, underrated, and I think you just broke the record for the most elaboration on one.
You definitely win the record for the first person to have a chart to support their an infographic to support their reasoning.
We do always say that you get
that's slide 40 here, I think.
Yeah.
So,
you get your druthers to elaborate as much as you would like. So you played
that.
well within the rules. That is cool, though. We just got a little behind the scenes, like mad scientist mentoring right there at no additional charge for the podcast listeners.
That's right.
If we just keep scheduling these once a year for the next 20 years, we'll see the rest of this presentation.
We'll get it all out of you for free.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, we're playing the long game.
Rhythm and execution. Oh yeah. So this is the tactical charters for kind of a visual goal setting that rolls into what you're talking. Yeah.
The whole peek behind the scenes here.
Definitely the first time somebody had a full slideshow to support their opinion on the topic. Yeah. That's good. Actually, it brings up an interesting point. It's like what you talked about on, if you were to be on Rogan, it's like, where do you go? What do you talk about? Where, what pathway we're going to go down. It's funny, even just of our list of topics to talk to you today, we'll probably wrap up fairly soon. And there's a whole bunch we did not cover because we spent time covering in other ways. We didn't talk really at all about Kabuki coaching, any of that stuff. We didn't talk about the Kabuki equipment whatsoever, which, and that's even, it's funny, that's a area I particularly like. We own every Kabuki bar that's ever been made and the shoulder rock and everything else. And it's just like, because the bandwidth is so wide that we didn't even cover any of that stuff.
We got it definitely is worth of note, the new EDU Plus platform launch. This is massive. We've been working on this for quite some time.
So how do people find out more about that? Like if they're interested in signing up and everything, what is it? What do they need to do?
Go to Kabuki Strength and click on education, and it'll be right there. So it's really amazing. It is so many hours of content. I mean, we're talking courses that used to cost $500 to $700 just as individual presenters, something like hundreds of presenters, like our Kabuki Education Week, courses, our video library, like just this massive compilation of information is all right there at your fingertips. And so it's at a cost. It's the best, just leave it at this. It's the single best value there is in fitness. There is nothing like this. $29. You get access. You can get CEU credits. You can get you got to pay for the testing if you want CEUs, but the base education, it's all there. Plus the app with numerous different training programs. There is nothing like this in the industry. It's like Netflix for strength. Like you want to up level that game, you've got to check it out. So just at least go look at that. Take a look. Kabuki's on a big effort right now, bring lead times down. So we anticipate that over the next 30 days, 45, 60 days, that we're going to be in stock on everything. We've got in stock on probably a third to maybe half of our products right now. We still have a couple that have some pretty big outstanding lead times, but those are dropping. Brought in a big investor as a backer to be able to support the work in process that's needed for a company our size to be able to have that stuff on the shelf. So you'll see a big rebranding effort happen as we go, because that's going to be a new kind of value or commitment that Kabuki makes from this time forward. Is it's on our site. If you can buy it, it's in stock, it's going to ship, and we'll have 2 months of inventory on the shelf at all times.
Well, that's cool. That's good news for people.
It's
I think
big.
people
I mean,
a lot of our listeners will be excited about that. I think,
so
that's
we're
cool.
We're in process on it. I recognize like where the company's been in regards to that, and I have to own that. And that is, I've worked for the last year to put this together, to be able to pull this off. And there's been a lot of work to get that in place, but it's something that had to be fixed. And it's been a long disservice to our customers and our followers. And it's something that doesn't fit myself and what I want to do. And so, yeah, that's a big change, and the EDU Plus was preceding that. So please come check it out. Oh, anybody that signs up for EDU Plus, like, you get a discount on all our products too. So it'll probably more than pays for yourself for like a single order.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, there's so many other things on there. I'm so excited and proud of what we brought to place with the EDU Plus platform. And so check that out. You'll get a discount on everything else, exclusive stuff. It's insane. So
that's good.
Are you guys on there yet?
We do have the ability to get on there now. We just have to both do it, and we should have done it at homework before this. But that actually brings up my next point. Don't elaborate on any of these topics. We'll probably have to have you on again sometime soon to talk about it. We've got to talk more about that, and then other things we didn't talk about were. We want to talk about snowboarding. Don't say anything right now. We want to talk about.
I'm quiet.
Okay, we want to talk about custom vehicle manufacturing. Because of the last times we really haven't touched on that at all. I think something would be an interesting topic is balance. People use the term balance in life and other things, and like you'd have a particularly interesting take on that. I think from what you've got going on, and then also. The movie, future of the movie, people, when we put out that you're going to have you on, there's a few people that wanted to know more about timeline on the movie and that sort of thing too. So we do have a whole bunch of stuff we still need to talk to you about.
Yes. I was going to pull up my slide on balance, but I'll save that for the next podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Movie updates should be out shortly. But
okay.
Yeah,
I think people will be excited
we
about that.
We should schedule
too.
another one, because there definitely is a breadth. And we'll need to make notes to not cover the same old stuff, because I'm like, God, did I just beat up with some of the same stuff I did on the last podcast, which would be
no. We just know that we're done with the Dakota talk up front, so that opens up so much time in the schedule right there.
We did spend a lot of time on geography and culture. So.
That's our audience loves it, so we got to keep them happy.
It fed into some really good stuff though.
It does.
That was a lot of my background. We pulled everything in.
Absolutely. Tanner, you got anything else?
No, I appreciate it. I was getting summoned here. One of my bosses was yelling at me, my 5-year-old. So it'd be perfect timing. I think there's a popcorn emergency over here, so I have to take care of this immediate.
My microwave caught on fire with our popcorn emergency last night for my 5-year-old.
So you can relate.
It's sitting on my kitchen floor right now.
Awesome, Chris. We do really appreciate you taking the time. We're super excited about the Barefoot shoe collaboration, so everyone make sure to check it out.
Hopefully I didn't down talk it too much.
No, it was a good psychology that wrapped into why you actually should buy it, I think. So that was good. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right. Yeah,
See ya.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Cool beans! Cool beans. Cool beans.
You gave him the double cool Chris Duffin cool beans there, didn't you?
That's right.
One of those cool beans was for the eagle, and one of them was for the dragon.
Mm-hmm. You got to keep them both fed. Keep them happy.
You know what else that all reminded me of?
What's that?
I wanted, as long as we were talking about equipment, and the Kabuki's got you covered on all the various specialty bars they've got, but you know what you need to put on those bars? Some Strengthco plates. Here we go, Strengthco.
This is the Strength Company. We've set out to build a better barbell plate on American soil. We ended up here at Wisconsin's legendary Wapaka Foundry. With over 60 years of ironworking experience, the foundry had the knowledge, technology, and processes to build our weights to our exact specifications. The Strength Company plates are slim but rugged, smooth but easy to grip, and electro-coated for durability and to look great in your gym. This is the next generation of American iron. Only available from the Strength Company.
And today's episode is also brought to you by SwissLink. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded SwissLink with the mission to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for SwissLink, he brings in everything you can imagine from Swiss military rangefinders to Italian police tracksuits. SwissLink.com is also home to the SwissLink Classic Wool Blankets. They're an ideal mix of 80% wool and 20% recycled fibers. It's that special blend that provides a soft, luxurious feel while maintaining all the benefits of wool. The designs are reminiscent of brands that rhyme with Schwendelton and Schwudson Bay, but are available at only a fraction of the cost. SwissLink's exceptional collection and dedication to quality customer service distinguishes them from the rest. Enjoy a 15% discount on your next purchase at SwissLink.com by entering code MASS, that's MASS, at checkout to save 15% at SwissLink.com. And Tanner, when I'm telling you about the good stuff here, I have one more good thing I want to tell you about. And that's our good friends at Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. But around 1976, he started a local machine shop started making Olympic bars to them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became champion barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. We're going to speed this timeline up and take you to the present day where Buddy has built the Texas Power Bar. And you say, how does it get better? Well, he just made the 29 millimeter Texas Power Bar. With
my new favorite in the arsenal, the 29 millimeter.
Right there. You're talking to a guy that owns a lot of Texas Power Bars and has touched a few shafts in his day. And
stroking them.
It's one of his all-time favorites. So if you want to see what the new legend of the Texas Power Bar is all about, visit TexasPowerBars.com and check out that 29 millimeter Power Bar. Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
Texas Power Bars. And while you're at all of that, make sure to head over to, the Massenomics website. We've got drink spotter lights for sale. We'd love to help you improve your beverage safety. I think if you look through enough of Chris's slides there, you'd find something related to beverage safety and how you need to come up with a SMART goal to take it more seriously. So specifically, I want you to measure how much this drink spotter would be achievable, and you could make it timely and go purchase it right now.
And
SMART.
While we're telling you to go buy things, make sure to go to Barefoot.shoes. Buy the Massenomics, Ursanomics collaboration. It really is. We've seen it in person. It's a really cool product. We do love Barefoot shoes. We wear them all the time. This thing turned out awesome. Like, for real, if you ever need an excuse to get a new pair of gym shoes, whether you're wearing, maybe you're like us and you're wearing some old Reebok TR lights, or maybe you wear Converse and you're really lost. Don't wear those anymore. Maybe you wear Vans. Maybe you wear a pair of old wrestling shoes. I'm telling you, try these out. When you wear them in the gym, you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I wore those shoes that, one, were lifted up on the toes, had my toes cramped in, like had all these things wrong. You will for real love these. And it doesn't have to just be gym. Like, These shoes, they're black and red. Like that is the style of every shoe, like or of the shoe that is in style. Like that's what you want to wear. They look great. So get these things. I think you're going to really love them.
I'm genuinely excited to start wearing mine.
I know. I can't wait for mine to show up. Like I'm so pumped for this.
Yes, please check that out. It's the pre-order time, it's a pre-order, but the size, there is a limited number of these being made. So like even the pre-order could technically
sell out of sizes,
sell out in theory, because I think like the production's already been started. So it is your chance to get your name on it before it comes though. And it is extremely limited. So, and I think it looks really cool. So there's probably going to be demand there.
It is. And this isn't like something where they just approach us and said, hey, Massenomics, here's a shoe. Let's put your name on it and do it. They really were like, what do you guys think would be cool? Like that is,
this is the Massenomics.
Yeah. We
shoe.
can't like understate like how awesome they were to work with, in that they were like, hey, you guys know what our shoes look like. Do what you think would be cool. And I mean, we threw a ton of ideas at them and they made about 98% of them happen. And really the final thing, Tanner, like we made all these mock-ups and everything, and the final thing showed up and was like, damn, this is how we wanted it to look. Like, it's like we pulled it right out of the computer screen and it's right here. Like there wasn't anything compromised. So it did turn out really awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And if you can use discount code, is it Mass or Massenomics? No, Massenomics. That'll also get you a free pair of awesome wraps with your purchase. It's awesome AWE, because the wraps will work on your ankle, wrist, or elbow, kind of a universal wrap system, but you get a free pair. You can buy the shoes, use that discount code, you get a free pair of wraps with the shoes essentially. So go check it out. And then last thing I wanted to tell you about today, you've heard us talk about it a whole bunch of times over the last year plus probably, but head over to JUGGERNAUT.ai.app, and I'm telling you, go on your browser and check it out. And if you've heard us talk about it but never looked at it, just go. All I'd ask you today is just go to the website there and check it out, read a little bit, click on how it works, and you'll find it's pretty simple. What you do is you get the app, you get it download. First of all, you use discount code Massenomics. That'll save you 10%, or they even have a free month trial that you can just check it out. But then what you do once you get the app, you go in there, you tell the system all about yourself and what your goals are, including your gender, age, size, strength, experience, recovery levels, and a whole bunch of factors that go into that. And then from there, I guess you'd call it their programming or algorithms, and then everything takes effect. And like the longer you use it, the more effect that stuff starts to take, and it starts working you towards your goals, whether it's competing in a meet, doing a mock meet, whatever that is. So go check it out, JUGGERNAUT.ai.app. Get signed up through the website. That's where you can use discount code Massenomics. Is there anything else, Tommy? I feel like we talked a lot about a lot of stuff here.
There is other stuff, but we're already over 2 hours in. So
yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk. Yeah, we'll talk about future of Massenomics stuff in coming episodes here. We got, like we mentioned, a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And we're getting through that Lift Hard, Live Easy classic hangover.
Go watch the YouTube video. It just launched, Tanner, 10 minutes ago. It just came out.
So we got, sometimes I watch the video when it's only we can watch it, but then I need to rewatch it again once it's live to the public and make sure it hasn't magically changed. Well, it's like when you send an email.
Then
you need to reread it.
Yeah. I got to watch it after it's on YouTube because it looks different in the browser. And all. So I got to see what it's all about, the YouTube experience.
All right. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.